All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Early Morning Crypto Talk. Bitcoin Brandon from Los Angeles, California. Go ahead, type in the chat box where you're listening in from. Facebook is acting crazy with me again this morning, not allowing me to connect, so I got to do it on YouTube Live. Who, me? I don't know who that is, but I see you every time I do a YouTube Live. Ripple baby. Marty from Victoria, Texas. Peter Vargas, good morning. Tony Pinkston. Jacqueline Sabah, good morning. Bethany Gibbs from Seattle. Shane West. Clevie Stewart, New York, good morning. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on the YouTube video. Rohan Johnson from the ATL. As a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share a suggestion, and it is up to you to make an informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. Good morning, Gary Warden. There's 4 rules I live by in the crypto space to have success. Rule number 1, education is key. Education is everything. Rule number 2, never invest money you cannot afford to lose. Rule number 3, always get the return on investment back as fast as possible. And rule number 4, where do you see yourself in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years from now? What are you willing to do to make that happen? Make a decision, find a vehicle, take action, stay focused, do not get distracted. Now, following these rules is not going to guarantee you success, but it will at least minimize your risk. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the most that we can ask for. Icons Global Network, what's happening? My cousin Marnita from Colorado, good morning. Lorna Vasquez, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and kick this off again. For those of you coming on Facebook, every now and then acts up with me and will not allow me to connect. So my backup is YouTube Live. All right, let's look at the news. Crypto market cap is at 148 billion. That's actually down. It was at 150 or 151 the other day. But for the last 24 hours, it is up 0.4%. Bitcoin dominance is right below 65%. Bitcoin price is 53.20. Red across, so we're seeing a downward trend right now. Look at this. The top 10 coins are all red across the board for the last 1 hour, 24 hour, and 7 day. But Tether is also in the red, which means two things right now. Either they're moving money out into their bank accounts from Tether, or they're moving money out of Tether and putting it back into the market within the last hour. But it's almost flatline. So it's just at 0.1 negative. We'll see how that plays out today. All right, some news. Now, this is important to follow. I made a post the other day where I talked about misdirection. Whenever you see some major news going on, a lot of people will use that and take advantage of that time to do stuff that will fly underneath the radar. On any other day, it will be front page news. But because there's something massive happening, that's when you see other stuff happening underneath the surface that doesn't even get reported on. And I think this whole coronavirus, a lot of people are using that as an excuse in the markets as a cover. So here's an example. We've got $566 million in Bitcoin on the move. When you have something that big, it will always move the market, no matter what's going on in the world. Because you have all the bots, the trading bots out there, the professional traders that's watching all the whales. They know that's going to mess up the supply and demand chain. So we've got more than $500 million worth of Bitcoin on the move. A flurry of, and this is also why the Bitcoin, the blockchain's been moving slow, and the fees have been high lately because this stuff's going on. A flurry of Bitcoin well activity is underway as the price of Bitcoin climbs back above $5,200. In the last 24 hours, some of Bitcoin's biggest investors have moved a total of 107,209 Bitcoin, worth $566.9 million at time of writing. In the last 24 hours. The largest single transaction sent 47,846 Bitcoin worth $252.2 million between two wallets of unknown origin. According to Whale Alert, 6 of the 14 largest whale transactions sent in the last day involved Bitcoin being sent from unknown wallets to crypto exchanges, where it could potentially be sold on the open market. 2 of the transactions sent crypto from exchanges to unknown wallets. Here's a look at all the major whale transactions that hit the ledger in the last 24 hours. Again, how old is this article? 18th is today. Okay. So here's another thing, guys. These big whales don't have all their coins in one wallet. You guys also shouldn't keep all your coins in one wallet. You should have multiple wallets spread out all over the place. So we've got 7.2 million, 33 million, 12, 10, 5, 9, 15 million. All of these moving at the same time means it's probably 1 or 2 individuals that owns all of this, all these wallets, or more likely one of the exchanges that's doing this. New data from blockchain analysis firm CryptoQuant suggests that whales were gearing up to sell huge amounts of Bitcoin well before the market's major crash that began in earnest on March 12th. The numbers show the amount of Bitcoin being deposited on crypto exchanges began ramping up on March 8th. The move suggests a coordinated effort to sell Bitcoin was already brewing according to CoinDesk analyst Omkar Godbole. Bitcoin is up 0.02% at 52.04 at time of publishing, according to CoinMarketCap. All right. Next up. Governments are targeting smartphones to track infected people. How's that possible? The White House is exploring how data harvesting, here we go. They've been collecting our data for 30 years now. in the tech world. So how tech companies like Google and Facebook can be used to track people infected by the coronavirus. This is the big brother stuff. It may sound good. Yeah, don't we want to track coronavirus people? But what if they start using that same technology to track us for other reasons? The idea is to use information gathered from smartphones to map the spread of the contagious disease and to track those infected to see if they're properly distancing themselves. So in other words, your phone is a GPS. It keeps track of your everywhere you go. So on the positive side, this is what they're saying. Imagine a huge map. And on that map, you know what I'm going to do? I got this. I'm going to pull this up on my other computer. Let me copy it for here so that you guys can see this, because I've got this up 4/7 on one of my screens. Normally it's one of my trading things up, but you guys can't see my other computer, so give me a second here. I'm going to transfer it over here. So I'll keep reading while I do this. So the Washington Post reports that amid privacy and security concerns, Google spokesperson Johnny Liu says the data that the government and health authorities will look into will not include a single individual's location, movement, or what I mean by that. Will not include. I got to send this to my cousin. That way I can open it up myself. All right, now let me open it up on this computer. I know my cousin's going to be like, what the heck was that, Brandon? Yeah, take a look at this. I feel like I'm at NASA, but I have this on my big screen on my other computer because my little boy loves playing with this and targeting it. All right, so we've got, this is from the global cases of the CSSE at Johns Hopkins, tracking all coronavirus around the world. Total deaths, 8,248. Total recovered, 82,104. I had to have this talk with another friend. Well, I won't consider him a friend, but yesterday I was taking my car out because I got somebody hit me the last week, so I was taking it to the collision center. And a rental car enterprise had to come pick me up from the collision center to take me to the rental car place. And the guy in there that's talking, he picked me up. He just talked nonstop about that this is not a big deal. We're overreacting. Thousands of people died from the flu, blah, 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 blah. And I told him, I said, well, that's all true. But if you just look at the H1N1 virus, because he brought the H1N1 up during the Obama administration, 61 million Americans were infected. Was that 61 million Americans or worldwide? I don't remember that. I think it was worldwide. Were infected with the H1N1. But the amount of deaths, I think it was 9,000 or something. And they said if 61 million people are infected with coronavirus, we're talking about 900,000 dead. 900,000. You can't compare the two. And this is far more infectious than H1N1. It's moving much faster. It's already here. We just in America don't have enough test kits. People are walking around as carriers and don't even know they have it. So this map, I was just playing with this. Like I'm looking at the United States. In California, where I am, we've got 718 confirmed, 13 deaths. Active, 705. The biggest death toll was out here in Washington. 55 dead, and most of that was from one elderly home. And I think we've got another one that's going through the same thing. I don't know what state that's in. But this chart is just basically telling you the state, not so much, because I'm right here in LA. I can zoom in on this sucker, and I know I can zoom in directly to where I live. But I'm doing this live. I don't want to, I'm not showing my house. But anyways, this sooner or later, let's say they had the access to everybody's cell phones and they're tracking coronavirus through your phone. And they say, okay, you landed at LAX and we're going to track you. Here's the LAX airport. We're going to track you from when you left the airport. Your phone says, all right, you came all the way to Beverly Hills. Then you went from Beverly Hills to downtown LA. Then you went from downtown LA maybe up to Pasadena. Then for whatever reason you came down the 210 through my area, Azusa, Glendora, Laverne, San Dimas. Next thing you know, you're in Claremont or Upland. And then for whatever reason you're at Ontario Airport. This is the airport I fly out of most of. Ontario, I hate with a passion LAX. And so next thing you go, they're going all the way down. They want to go to Disneyland, so they come all the way down to Anaheim. They want to go to Disneyland. And, let's go to the beach. They go to Huntington Beach or Long Beach or something. And they can track your movements, which means anybody in that vicinity, that area, is exposed. They've been exposed. So that is the data tracking that, and if you guys don't have this map, let me put it in let's put it right here. So you guys can play with that too. I play with it. I was playing with it, looking around all over the world. What's going on in the UK? What's going on? My cousin, I have a cousin right now that went back to France. Told her but to stay home. She thinks the French have it better handled. They've got 7,652 confirmed cases already. It's exploding there. Then you look at Italy. Italy, 31,506 cases. And they're saying the United States, we are 3 weeks behind where Italy is. So if you want to know what are we going to look like in a couple of weeks, I'm telling you guys, by Friday, today's Wednesday, in the next 2 days, America is not going to look like it does right now. And you got Africa. Look at that. I don't know why there's such low cases. Brazil starting to pop up. Chile. Europe is really getting hit. Look at Europe. Hey, didn't I just drop that link in the chat box? Yeah, I dropped the link in the chat box. How come it didn't? Oh yeah, just look right above you, Gary. Right after Albert said, "Show me the money." There's the link. Oh, I didn't. Oops. What link did I put? Okay. Here we go. Copy. Oh, I put my YouTube channel there. Okay. There we go. That's the map. All right, so let's go back to the article. So this is how the government, can you imagine a government, tactical room, and they've got this on their big 500-inch screen, and they're charting it. You've seen this in movies, pandemics and stuff like that. Look at Florida. 217 cases. See, this is a state, this is a retirement state. A lot of elderly people. So you want to, this is very high risk. You definitely do not. I saw on the news this morning, you want to act as if you are a carrier to self-quarantine yourself because you can pass it to others. Really nothing in Cuba? Huh. They got 7 cases in Cuba. Puerto Rico. 5 cases in Puerto Rico. I mean, this even got to the little islands. U.S. Virgin Islands. And I didn't see it. What about Hawaii? Has it heard anything about Hawaii? 14 confirmed cases in Hawaii. Alaska? That's even in Alaska. 6 confirmed cases. But the warm zones. Let's look at Australia. Because there's summertime there. Wow. See, this is what concerns me, because normally with the flu, when the spring comes around, the flu dies out. It's warm season. Australia's in their summertime right now, and they're just growing. So this thing ain't going to just go away in 8 weeks. This can go well through the summer. Even Donald Trump said July, August. This is going to mess up travel plans, people making plans for vacations and trips. The entire world's economy is going to get hit. They're talking about 20% unemployment. It pays to have a home-based business at this time. Everybody should start looking for a plan B. Hubei, China. All right, let's go back to what the government's going to do here. We're exploring ways that aggregated and anonymized location information could help in the fight against COVID-19. One example could be helping health authorities determine the impact of social distancing, similar to the way we show popular restaurant times and traffic patterns in Google Maps. Huh? I see what they're saying. Okay, let me show you this again. Here's what they mean by social distancing. You'll be able to, they might come up with an app, right, that will automatically show you locations of where people are gathered and where the most dense people are so that you can stay away. Like having that, what map is it that I use on my phone for GPS? Let me pull this up. Waze? Yeah, the Waze map. It gives you your restaurants. It gives you any car vehicles that's broke down on the side of the road, lets you know where the police are if they're coming up on you. Imagine them doing that and tying it to people. I think they're already doing this anyway, illegally. But imagine, yeah, that's all right. You got a freaking Corona app where you can see where dense people are, or you know how they have a website for sexual offenders that need to register. Have you ever looked that up in your city before? And you realize how many registered sex offenders are around? You're like, are you? Because they got to legally, they've got to put their address. So there's a map that shows you where they all are. What if they decide if you've tested positive for the coronavirus, your location gets added to this app, so you're tracked everywhere you go. See, again, if you ever want to know how a government can get away with stuff like this, you need to input some kind of crisis that the people will accept it. Because you think once coronavirus is gone, they're going to turn the system off? Can you imagine them legally say, because you are a risk to society, you are forced to have to reveal your location at all times until you're cleared of coronavirus, so we can track you. What about that one? They give you a shot with a tracker on it. That's some sci-fi stuff. Like I'm watching on Netflix since, well, I'm home anyway. So I'm binge watching, what is that movie called? Oh, good grief. Altered Carbon. You know, the people are living forever, and they just shed their body with a new body. Their brain is attached. And see, those skins are tracked, like Albert said, like a shot. You can track the skins. You can track people. The technology is already here. So this is how they implement this, huh? Argument says individual privacy will strictly be observed. Yeah, like we really believe that. Really? And the geolocation data gathered from smartphones and credit card use will only be used to send warnings to people who may be exposed to the virus. Really? How many of you actually believe that? Nobody. I know there's people out there that believe that whatever Donald Trump says is true no matter what. If Donald Trump were to come out and say, yeah, we need all of your, your credit card, smartphone data information. Don't worry. We're only going to track it for coronavirus. Your data is safe with us. Will you still believe Trump? I'm just saying. There's things I agree with them. There's things I don't agree with them. And I'm not afraid to say when I don't agree with them. But there are some people out there, and this is a public danger. You've got to be able to question sometimes the obvious. Same with Obama. There are people out there, just because Obama said it, it must be true because he's black. He can say and do no wrong. No, the man's not Jesus. He's a human being. He has his own agenda. Question him. All of our safety is on the line here. But there's no way I trust that this information will only be used for this. Absolutely not. Because if I was in the government, I have a different agenda. You better believe I'm going to use it for other stuff. All right, next article up. And then we're going to go to free money. That's what you guys are here for. You want to hear about free money. I'm not against that. However, I'm like Jim Rome, the philosophy of performance. You want a stimulus package, you can create one for yourself if you make certain decisions. But in a crisis like this, I'm giving it 30 days before shit hits the fan. But let me read this article first, and we're going to come up to that. Illinois wants to seize unclaimed crypto after 5 years. Now, here's the reason why I pulled this article up is because just this seize unclaimed crypto. How can they seize it? Who gives them the authority? How's that possible? How do you seize unclaimed crypto after 5 years? Lawmakers in Illinois are pushing a bill that will allow the state government to seize cryptocurrencies that have been left unclaimed after 5 years. According to the proposal, this is crazy. Do you know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be in 5 years? See, one mistake the federal government made when Mt. Gox went down and the federal government got their hands on all those Bitcoin, they held a fire sale. And there were some whales at that time that bought up. The reason why they're billionaires today is because they bought up a bunch of the coins. But at the time, they weren't worth that much. If the government just sat on those coins, sat on them for 20 years or 10 years or 15 years, imagine the amount of that wealth is. It was how many? I don't remember the total amount of coins the government had access. I think maybe 500,000 coins that they sold. That's crazy. What happens when Bitcoin goes to $1 million a coin and the government had 500,000 of them? Anyways, Illinois Bill 4573, introduced by Representative Michael Zalewski, is an amendment to the state's revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act. The bill provides that virtual currency is presumed abandoned if it is unclaimed by the apparent owner 5 years after the last indication of interest in the property. According to the bill, the state treasurer would assume the role of the administrator. Abandoned if it is unclaimed. If property reported to the administrator is virtual currency, the holder shall liquidate the virtual currency and remit the proceeds to the administrator. The liquidation shall occur any time within 30 days prior to the filing of the report under Section 15401. The forced liquidation would apply to any virtual currencies defined as any type of digital unit, including cryptocurrency. The act of liquidating the assets would be final and immutable. According to the bill, the owner shall not have recourse against the holder or the administrator to recover any gain in value that occurs after the liquidation of the virtual currency under this subsection. Okay, here's my only problem with this. How are you going to get your hands on those coins? Even if you arrest somebody and say, I'm seizing your bank account, you can't seize their Bitcoin wallet. You can't force them unless they give you the code and access to it. Whoever controls the keys owns it. So what do you mean it's unclaimed? It's not like there's a Bitcoin wallet lying on the ground and nobody's been laying claim to it. You still need a key to access that wallet. You can have your hand on the wallet. You don't have your recovery key. You don't have the password. And you got $5 million worth of coins on it. It's useless. You can't access it. It's gone. So this is, I'm untrusting. Okay. Here's what I really think that they're doing. The United States is gearing up to go to a cashless society. And sooner rather than later, we will be introduced to the digital dollar. The Donald Trump administration already hired, and I covered this yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. The top lawyer representing Coinbase, a guy who believes the US dollar should be digitized and believes in cryptocurrency, hired him to be in charge of the entire banking overhaul system in the United States. This is where I agree with Trump, that he wants to get rid of the Fed and go back to the gold standard or some other form. This is why I also know, I don't know if he set this out of ignorance or because he doesn't want to show his cards when he was talking about crypto and Bitcoin being useless. But even though that's because they're creating their own coin, the digital dollar, the digital coin. I do know one thing. Trump wants to make sure that the US dollar is king in the world, where we've got Russia, China, Iran, North Korea are trying to marginalize the US dollar in our role. So the next evolution of that is to digitize it. So all the pieces, it's like a game of chess. You got to be watching here. One piece doesn't move everything, but when you have 15, 20 different pieces being moved, and you're able to see 7, 8, 10, 15 moves ahead, a clear picture starts to happen. I'm looking at a clear puzzle. It's like my grandpa, when I was a kid, used to have this big table, and he loved these massive puzzles that was be spread all over the place. And it might take him 2 months to put a puzzle together of a masterpiece. That's what's happening. You got to watch all the puzzle pieces. So now we got a new banking chief that's dead on for crypto. We've got the state of Illinois now wants to pass a law so that they can claim unclaimed crypto. But you know what? Look at the word they use, virtual currency. That could be digital, which means if cash goes digitized, how about them claiming your digital cash in a bank? So you're not going to be able to pull out your cash and hide it underneath your pillow and say, well, at least the IRS ain't going to be able to get my money. They can freeze my bank account all they want, but I got the cash. Well, if we're not in a cash society anymore and all your money is digitized, they have the means to take it because it's not crypto. That's what I see taking there. Now, call me conspiracy nut or whatever. But I've been around long enough, I read enough to see. I know how the government works and operates and thinks. I've worked for them. All right, next one up. U.S. government wants to start handing out free money to Americans. I'll take free money. I'm not going to turn it down. Free cash. Let's see. The idea of the U.S. government handing out free cash, dismissed as a wishful fantasy before former presidential candidate and Bitcoin supporter Andrew Yang appeared on the political stage is taking root. Yang is an advocate for universal basic income. People ask me what I think about that, if I'm okay with that. I don't know. Universal basic income. The notion that Americans should receive $1,000 each month from the government. Again, I don't know, because we are in a democracy, so to speak, free market system. So even if you give each American $1,000, inflation and businesses will increase costs of things that will just gobble that up and compensate. You can't pay rent with $1,000, well, depending on where you are. That would work in a communist system where they're not subject to inflation as we are here in a free market type system. So a communist system, and I mean not Venezuelan style, I mean Russia. There's a state system. Socialism does not work. Now, Brandon, we've got socialism in the United States. We've got Medicare. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Venezuelan-style socialism. Does not work. The entire idea that we need to take from the rich and give to the poor so that it is fair is a false premise. The correct premise is make it available for all people to have just as much right and access for success as the wealthy people do. And if you think that's the case in America, it is not. We have a class system. Who you know and your name and what blood you were born in will dictate and determine your status in life. Unfortunately, you can go get that college education and degree and do everything right, and you will still be locked out of a system that you can generate wealth in for you and your family. Now, of course, people can point to that person made it, that person made it. They are far and few in between than the masses. What I am for is equal opportunity for all. And when you have that, then it's based on performance. So if I outperform somebody, I should not be penalized because I was willing to work harder than you. Don't take from me what I busted my ass to do because you are not willing to work as hard as me. It's a difference there. That's what I stand for. Not, oh, Bill Gates got $100 billion. We got to take from him. So because Bubba on the corner wasn't willing to work. I don't agree with that. But if it can help, $1,000 each month for every American household. The concept may now be gaining real traction in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak, which is set to ravage the economy by displacing workers and travelers, shuttering entire cities and countries, and wrecking Wall Street. The Trump administration appears to be taking a cue from the UBI playbook, without explicitly stating that cash handouts would become long-term or permanent. Right now, the goal is urgent. Get Americans over the immediate hump of the economic blow. Wipe out all student debt. See, sometimes I say things that people can't figure out. Is he a Republican or is he a Democrat? Is he a liberal or is he a conservative? The debt system for student debt is created. It is created to create slaves. Why? Oh, we're paying for you to get education. Okay, will that education allow me to become the next Bill Gates? No. Why? Because they put you're in so much debt and you're paying so much in interest. You could pay 20 years of just the interest, and the total, let's say you had a $30,000 debt and you're making your minimum payments because that's all you can afford, because the jobs that you get when you graduate aren't paying a full-time income when you can take care of yourself and your family. You're barely getting by, so you got to pay the minimum, and you pay for 20 years on that minimum, and you end up paying $22,000 on that $30,000, but it's just interest, and you still owe now $34,000. You owe more than when you first started. So you got to keep working just to pay the debt to a bunch of billionaires, millionaires and billionaires who own the businesses, and they know that debt is keeping you a slave. It's classism, not racism, not sexism. It's classism. The only thing we should be asking for, again, I go back to equal opportunity. The only time you guys may hear me talk about racism, and you got a whole bunch of people out there that believe there's no such thing, that is the left using it to divide people. You don't walk in my shoes every day. You don't experience it. What I am referring to is not an individual that's being racist to another individual. I am talking about a system that is designed to keep a certain race of people down that you don't experience, you don't even see, therefore you cannot have empathy for, to understand it. All you see is, oh no, they're kneeling against the flag, how dare they? Complete lack of empathy that the system is not equal. We're running a 100-yard dash, and you get to start on the 50-yard line. And we're 100 yards back. All we want is equal opportunity. Is that too much to ask? Equal. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. The concept, there we go, I'll read this again. The concept may now begin, I read that part. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin told reporters at the White House on Tuesday, we're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. Checks to Americans immediately. I also heard, is this true? I don't know if I was like half asleep last night. But I had the news on and people were blowing me up, so I turned off my phone. But I think I heard somebody or something say that they are pushing back our tax return filing for 90 days. Can anybody confirm that? If that's even true? Pushing it back for 90 days? So Treasury Secretary Mnuchin said, we're looking at sending checks to Americans immediately. As to whether the administration would impose any restrictions on recipients, Mnuchin adds, I think it's clear we don't need to send people who make $1 million a year checks. See, again, then I have a problem there as well. Equal. You say, oh, we're only going to send checks to, the poor. We're not going to send it to the Americans. If you make money over a certain amount, and I think they're talking about $60,000 or $70,000. Are you kidding me? In LA, you need to be making more than $200,000 a year just to be considered middle class. And even those people are struggling with certain bills and things because they're racked up in debt. So now only those individuals that earn less than $60,000 are going to get a check? If you're going to do it, you do it for all Americans. Again, I am for equality across the board. That also means the wealthy paying their fair share of tax. There I go again. Dang, he keeps flip-flopping from the conservative to the liberal side. No, I'm an American. I don't play party politics. I don't play that just because my side says it, I'm going to go. You guys don't realize, I look on both parties, how many times people are voting against their own interests because it's their guy. It drives me crazy. Anyways, he says, I think it's clear we don't need to send people who make $1 million a year checks, but that's one of the ideas we like. We're going to preview that today, and then we'll be talking about details afterwards. The government is reportedly planning to get payments underway in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, possibly for the duration of the economic disruption. What do you mean possibly for the duration? Is this going to be a one-time thing or continuous? Mnuchin also announced that the IRS, oh, here we go, will allow Americans to defer up to $1 million in payments for 90 days. I'll say, okay, so that's what it is. It's not that we have to, do we still need to file by April 15th? To defer up to $1 million in payments for 90 days. I'm looking at that. That put a smile on my face. I got to pay a lot. You guys are, you're working from home. Here's one trap that I learned early on that we weren't taught. See, when you work a 9-to-5 job, they take taxes out of your check. And most of the time you end up getting a tax return. But when you're self-employed, there are no taxes taken out. And you need to report your earnings. Now you're able to have a whole lot of business write-offs. I'll just share just a lesson that I learned. For years, I was writing off as much as possible. It didn't matter how much I made. At the end of the day, it might say, oh, Brandon, you only made $20,000 last year. I made more than 6 figures. But the system only shows $20,000 because of all the tax write-offs. That may sound good, but let it come time when you want to buy a car or get a business loan or buy a house, and you don't have a 9-to-5 job. You're not getting either a 1099 or you're not getting that W-4. And they say, all right, give us your bank statements. Okay, cool. Look at my bank statements. And then they say, yeah, we want last year or 2 years tax returns. And here's a lesson I learned last year. Since I make everything in Bitcoin, I followed the instructions when it comes to reporting tax for Bitcoin. I will not play with the IRS. I do exactly what they say. They filed my earnings as capital gains. Capital gains. So if you go to get a business loan or anything and they're looking at your tax return, they say, oh, well, you're negative $19,000 last year. What? No. First of all, look at my freaking bank statements and look at how much I made last year. They said, yeah, we see that, but we got to go by the tax return, and that's capital gains. That's not earned income. Well, what? I said, do you see how much money I paid in taxes on this? They said, yeah, we understand that, but that's still capital gains. Our policies, we got to go by earned income. So you know how that screws somebody that's in crypto if you're dealing with this? Because you've got to deal with the system. Not only do you have to report your earnings in a certain way that the government, the IRS wants you to in crypto, but you've got to figure out a way also to put that in earned income. So in essence, you end up paying more in taxes on the same amount of money if you want to get a home, a car, a business loan, and all that stuff. I'm like, the government always finds a way to screw you. Now, once you've got your home and your car and that stuff, you don't need them for nothing. Yeah, you can do everything in cash and go back to it. All right, that was and as a disclaimer, I am not a licensed financial advisor giving any financial advice. I am not a tax expert. I only shared personal experience. All right, so Trump's added, I think we're going to do something that gets money to them as quickly as possible. That may not be an accurate way of doing it because obviously some people shouldn't be getting $1,000. But we'll have a pretty good idea by the end of the day what we're going to be doing. The global pandemic is shining a new lens on joblessness, which appears to be moving at warp speed with layoffs being announced across several industries from retail to travel to hospitality. According to a report by CNN, more than half of American jobs are at risk. You got to be kidding me. To coronavirus, with analysts predicting that the odds of a global recession creeping up on is 100%. I don't want to be a conspiracy again on this. I figured it out 2 years ago that there will be a 100% global crisis taking place. within the next 2 to 3 years. You can go back to my crypto talks. I said it. I didn't know how it would be implemented. And I use that word, carefully. I didn't say accident. I said implemented. The coronavirus is real. Naturally occurring at this point in time, I'm questioning on. Because it's going to shut. We have never seen since the Great Depression. The Great Depression wasn't even before it happened with a 20% unemployment rate. There was the after effect of that. Now, how do we? Here's where you got to watch the game of chess. When I say America is not going to be recognizable in a matter of weeks. The last time we had an incident with Americans not getting paychecks was the government shutdown. What was that? January 2019? Or was it 18? These years are going by so fast to me. They're blurring in one. I think it was 19. January 2019. The government shut down for 1 month. It wasn't the private sector, but government employees they missed a check. All hell broke loose. Remember that? And then the Democrats and Republicans had to come together and pass some emergency bill to get the government back open again, because they knew if they missed a second check, it would have been catastrophic. They would have marched on the White House. But now we're talking about the entire country. We're at the beginning stage. So when the layoffs start happening right now, and I probably say by Friday, they're going to say, starting next week, which Monday is what day? The 23rd. You're going to see an announcement that's going to be by government order or mandate. You might hear it from your governors or from the president, that all businesses in America self-quarantine and work from home as all possible. When I was at the Enterprise yesterday, I even asked them, I said, okay, here's my only problem with bringing my car in. How long is it going to take to get this thing fixed? Because they said, oh, we'll have it done by Friday. So I don't want, Thursday come around and the government shuts all businesses down and I'm lost. I can't get my car out. Oh, no. We'll still make it happen. All right. Because I knew if I didn't do it now, I might not be able to do it for another 2 to 3 months. So I had to get it in real quick. Yeah, some parent hit my car picking up my kid last week. It's my Bitcoin mobile. And my wife's like, "What? Is it like a scratch? You can't even see it." I know it's there. I got to get that fixed. She's looking at me like I'm crazy. It's the principle of the matter. But anyways, I predict that by Friday, you're going to, just like they did with the schools. I knew they were going to close all the schools. You can't go to work because you got to work from home if all possible. Then the clock starts. Checks, which means you put it a whole month out. 30 days after that, we're looking at by April 30th. If nobody gets checks by the end of April, going into May, all hell's going to break loose. Run on the banks. People trying to get their cash out. There's going to be no cash in the ATM machines. Is it a coincidence that all of a sudden they bring on board the Coinbase guy now, and he's preparing for May 1st? They said 60 days. Why I keep seeing that 60-day pop up all over the place? Even, where's my Bitcoin calculator? Bitcoin countdown halving. I'll have to pull that up. I'll find it. The Bitcoin halving is 54 days away now? Everything's coming to a head at the same time. I don't know why, what the significance of that is, but it's happening. It's a chess piece. Okay, let's continue here. The global pandemic is shining a new lens on joblessness, which appears to be moving at warp speed, with layoffs being announced across several industries, from retail to travel to hospitality. According to a report by CNN, more than half of American jobs are at risk of coronavirus, with analysts predicting that the odds of a global recession are creeping up on 100%. Thought leaders, celebrities, and politicians are all weighing in on the timing of introducing UBI now, with Senator Mitt Romney urging politicians to open the door to a one-time check. Now, how many of you have recovered from 2008? Not many. The businesses have, because they bailed out the businesses. They didn't bail out Americans. America's still trying to recover from 2008. This time around, and I said this too, economic meltdown is going to be bigger than the first. I haven't said this in a long time. Remember I said that, think of it like a hurricane. 2008, when a hurricane comes, you know, Miami, the coast of Florida gets hit with the first Bollinger Bands, the hurricane bands. And then as it continues to move, that batters everything up, right? Then you get into the eye of the storm, and everything starts to look calm. The sun's out again. And as it continues moving, then you're going to get hit by the back end bands of the hurricane. And that's where the biggest damage is done, because the front end just broke down your shields. The back end rips everything apart. And I said that for the last couple of years, we've been in the eye of the storm. It was still here, slow moving. We are now going to get hit with the back end of the Bollinger Band, the hurricane bands. We're going to hit with the back end, only this time we don't have the resources to inject into the economy like we did in 2008. We can try, but it's not there. We don't have that foundation. It never recovered from 2008. I've been saying that for years, and we are now in it. The back end of that hurricane bands is hitting us right now. We're going to get hit financially. We're getting hit on our health. We're going to lose our jobs. We're not going to be able to pay our bills. The only thing America could do is probably halt all payments, halt all mortgages, halt all rents. You don't have to pay any bills for 60 to 90 days. We're going to give you checks so that you can go buy some groceries, so that now you're spending back into the economy to keep it moving. That's what we're in right now. Actor Charles Shaughnessy writes, if there ever was a time, a golden opportunity to look seriously at the concept of basic income guarantee, yes, Andrew Yang, it is now. COVID-19 has done to the economy in 1 month what automation and AI has been slowly doing for the last few years. I don't know about what that's supposed to mean. Filmmaker James Treacle adds, when he ran, Andrew Yang argued that the social safety net wasn't up to the challenge of a real crisis, and that trying our survival to employment was short-sighted, tying our survival. Now we see lawmakers from across the aisle endorsing universal basic income. Senator Mitt Romney tweeted his support for American workers amidst a major cash infusion and emergency measures for the financial markets. While the Senate should act swiftly on the House relief bill, we also need to work urgently on additional COVID-19 response measures to help families and small businesses. My proposals: Romney called for urgent action on additional coronavirus response measures. Every American adult should immediately receive a one-time check for $1,000 to help ensure families and workers can meet their short-term obligations and increase spending in the economy. So that means if this happens in 2 weeks, if you're married, you get $2,000 in your household. 2 adults. So now you got to start the budget thinking, how long can this last? What should it be used for? U.S. Representative AOC tells her 6.5 million followers. GOP and Democrats are both coming to the same conclusion. Universal basic income is going to have to play a role in helping Americans weather this crisis. Ro Khanna and Tim Ryan's proposal goes up to $6,000 a month. Really? Depending on need. $6,000 a month. Okay, hold on a second. Let me show you guys some numbers here. Is it $6,000 a month just for the crisis? That's $72,000 a year. The average American makes less. That's a bold number to be pushing, but only if they say, well, let's say the coronavirus is going to last us 90 days. So that means we want to give every household 6,000 times 3, about $18,000. Okay. That would be significant. That would have an impact. $1,000, it'll help. It's not going to have an impact. Andrew Yang, Mitt Romney just came out for a flat $1,000 universal. Isn't Tim Ryan a Republican? I'm surprised by that. I'm incredibly excited by the fact that our government seems like they're on the cusp of doing the common sense thing to help people get through this coronavirus crisis by putting cash straight into a family's hand. See, they didn't do this in 2008. All that money went to the banks, the businesses, and all those businesses did mostly buy up their own stock, shore up their own bottom line, and hoard it. It didn't really trickle down. So this is something we actually can implement immediately in a powerful way. So now they're saying instead of doing that, let's just send the money directly to the people. In a powerful way that will improve millions of Americans' lives and make us stronger and healthier from day one. I don't argue with that, but there's a cost. There's going to be consequences. You can't pull that money out of thin air. Oh, wait. Yes, you can if it's fiat, but it's going to add on to the debt and it's going to cause inflation, which ultimately one day we're going to have to pay. We're kicking the can down the curb. But I saw an analyst this morning say, look, right now there's a fire. If your house is on fire, you don't care how much the water costs. Just drop water on the fire and put it out. That part I agree with. I agree with that. Now, for those of you that you want to get the free money, at best, they're talking about $6,000 a month as long as the coronavirus is going. At worst, they're talking about a one-time $1,000 per adult, one time. Problem with that is that coronavirus ain't going to end in just 1 month. Also, they're pushing back, they're deferring your tax returns for 90 days. I really love that. So those are what we're looking at, or somewhere in between. Or you can make some decisions right now so that you can create your own stimulus package and have it in your own hands. Because the value of crypto and Bitcoin, while it might fluctuate due to markets, is not going away. It's only going to get stronger and better. So you need to be in a situation, how can I put myself to live off of that? My youngest son was a little bit scared at first. He was asking me, because his friends at school and their parents, even though they're social distancing right now, he was playing some game and have like a game party, and all his buddies from school have their microphones on and everything. And I say, you got to have that mic on loud. I got to hear who's being said. I don't need some pervert trying to chat with you guys. I need to hear the voices. If I don't hear little kids' voices, disconnected. So they're talking to each other. And the stress of the parents can be felt by the children. And so he asked me, you know, how can this affect us? I said, in actuality, it's an opportunity for us. I work from home anyway. I live off the grid. I live off of crypto anyway. Now we need to share how we do this with people who need that plan B, who need that option. People who said no to you before, they got to do something. And what we have is low risk, meaning getting started, but you got to be able to, you got to bring your boots. You got to be willing to go to work. And you can be in a good position. How about, I think I did this last night's presentation. I never really showed like level 2, for example. Level 2, $400 a month. $400 a month, stimulus. Now for how many people? 2, 4, 8. So 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. 14 people in your own network. 14, 2 sharing with 2, sharing with 2. Total in your network. In the global community line. $400 a month. What? You're home, you might as well. What? There was a 5.7 earthquake in Salt Lake City? Dang, 2020 is coming out swinging. It's like, oh, y'all thought I was done in January? Let me just shut down the entire global economy. But look at it. January, fires. No, rumors of war. Kobe Bryant plane hitting the mountain. Iran blowing up a passenger airline. Coronavirus was just getting really kicked off. And we were like, all right, we got past January. And then we got February and March. Yeah, let's just shut down the entire global economy and go into a recession. Possibly a depression. This is just the 3rd month in, and we're only halfway through it. 2020 is coming out swinging. But guess what? We can swing right back. You don't have to sit there and be a victim. That's a mindset. You are not a victim. You just got to make the decisions and go to work. All right, that is it, everybody. What's today? Wednesday. So, yeah, I'm only doing one presentation tonight. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. You want to learn how to create your own stimulus package. You want to be on that. I'll put the link in the chat box for tonight. Zoom. Want to learn how to create your own stimulus package? Here you go. I know, right? Can we just do a reset on 2020? But it's not what happens to you that's important. It's how you respond to the things that happen to you that make all the difference. And we are all in this. This is collective. It's collective effort. All right. Take care, everybody. Be safe. And I'll see you all tonight. Or hopefully tomorrow I can be back on my Facebook channel to do the live. If not, I'll do it right here on YouTube again. Great day, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.